Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the Town of Hollis Finance Committee this February 17th, 2026. We'll start off with a roll call. I'll start off to my left. Jim?
Jim Booton.
I'm Don Moran.
Joe Ponzetti?
Shelley Brooks. Janet Gilmore.
Folks, you gotta get in very close to your microphones because the public's not hearing you well.
All right. And the town manager, Dick is here as well.
Thank you.
The quorum being present, I call the meeting to order. Our first review budget this evening is the election budget. I'm sorry, let's do the minutes first. Have we all had a chance to review the minutes of our last meeting?
Yep.
You two were both here. Want to make a motion?
I make a motion to accept the minutes from February 17th. I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, who's going to present this budget for elections?
Go easy, she's nervous.
She is a little nervous.
Just for the audience, please state your name.
I am Crystal Gaudette. I am the interim town clerk and registrar of voters and freedom of access officer.
Welcome and thank you for continuing the position.
Thank you. Okay. So the proposed election budget is the same as 2025 through 2026. There's no increase requested for that.
And this is budget for two elections, right?
Correct.
Yep, June and November.
Crystal, do you want to go through them on per line item?
Sure. So supplies and miscellaneous is 1,500. Postage is 4,000. Mileage 400. Coding and ballots is 10,000. Wages is 27,000. Training and workshops is 500. Lodging 300. Outside services 400. Office supplies 2,000. Printing and ads 400. Computer expenses 1,500. Office equipment maintenance expenses is 2,000. Moderator is 300. And constable is 500.
I'll just note that the budget proposed has no increases and from the prior budget, and the 2025-26 is actually about $5,000 less than the budget, than the expenses in 24-25. So I'm satisfied. I don't have any questions. Anybody from the committee have any questions? I'd like to have somebody make a motion to approve the budget as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the election budget.
It's seconded.
Any further discussion? No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. You're all set. Thanks.
I have the clerk budget too.
Oh, you do? Okay.
That's me too.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Everybody have this one? Okay. So the proposed budget is actually a decrease for $77,927. We have $100 in postage, $200 in mileage, Wages is $50,727. Deputy is $22,100. Training and workshops is $300. Dues and member fees is $100. Lodging, $300. Office supplies, $1,000. Printing and ads is $100. Computer expenses is $3,000.
Do you have any highlights here that you'd like to talk about?
No.
Nothing, okay. Well, once again, I would like to point out that the proposed budget for the 26, 27 is actually less than last year's budget and less than the expenses we had, well, I'm sorry, it's not less than the expenses that we had in 2025. But it is considerably less than the budget we had for 25, 26, about $7,000 less. Anybody have any questions for Crystal?
Hi, Crystal. What's the reason for the $6,000 decrease in the deputy wages?
So I've been the deputy, and we feel that we don't need a full-time deputy at this point in time. We agreed on approximately 17 hours a week if needed at $25 an hour is what we thought was a fair.
Good, thank you. Good planning.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's always nice to see a number go down.
Yes. I have a question. Yes, ma'am.
So I don't have a clue, Mary Hoffman, I'm on the select board. I don't have a clue on how much training costs, so if you get a new deputy, how much training, would that be enough in the training budget?
I believe so because I won't require as much training now. And I think a lot of this was for deputy training in last year's budget. So I think it would be sufficient. And a lot of them are on Zoom now. Decreases travel costs too.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept the town clerk budget?
I move that we accept the town clerk budget as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say, anybody have any further discussion? None being proposed. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you.
Set to go. All right, next on our agenda for budget review is the fire and rescue. Chief, you want to get up and give us some explanations?
So the proposed budget looks to go up approximately $155,410, which is a rounded up to 10% increase overall. We can go through line by line as well. Starting for us is the fuel. Fuel went up. It's at $26,258. That's simply based on what we're seeing for expenses in the current fiscal year, where we expect to be for next year for our fuel costs. Some of that driving factor is that in the first 6 months of this fiscal year, our call volume is up over 16% right now. So obviously with increased call volume and majority of it being medical calls, that's a ambulance ride to Portland and back. So there's increased costs, obviously, with fuel. No change to our miscellaneous expenses line. The general repairs line remaining at, with no change, $240. I'm sorry, that's not the repairs line, that's a postage line at $240 with no change. Mileage, something that we changed in discussion with the town manager, and after previous discussions here in the Finance Committee and other previous meetings, we looked into, we have an offer for a chief's vehicle from Autotronics that we would be able to, what we did is we moved the expected budget of $4,500, and we moved some of that into the fuel line that we've already gone over, and then some into the vehicles line down at 0113, and left $500 there for incidental mileage. And with the offer that we have, which pertains to the retired fire engine, I believe that we'll be able to make the payment, the yearly lease payment on the new chief's vehicle, and reduce that mileage cost. So, the phone line did not change. We went cellular with the fire department several years ago, so that's just our total cost. We need cell phones and iPads in the ambulances, where we need to be able to contact the hospitals. Our iPads are connected. That's where we do our patient care reports. Are all digital now, as well as my phone, the station phone, so forth, are all cellular. So that's where that cost comes in. And it also includes our alarm system at the station. Our monitored fire alarm system is also through cellular instead of a landline. So that's all rolled into that phone line. Heat repairs and maintenance, you see this went down significantly. There was $20,000 in there for this current fiscal year. That was for replacement of the furnace and heating systems in our primary station. So we reduced that down to $1,000 for general maintenance costs. Propane didn't change. Anticipated that stay around $7,000. It shows last year, last fiscal year's expended was $7,100. Same with heating oil, no change there. We show that we expended $2,400 last year. We've got still the same $2,500 listed as the current fiscal year. Electricity, again, no change at $12,000. We do show that we only expended about $9,000 for last year. However, the change with the heat in the building was we switched to heat pumps, which obviously is going to use more electricity than it is the propane and so forth. So that's why we didn't decrease that, until we are able to see what that's going to look like. Then comes the real changes, as discussed last year, and as Don Marian had pointed out. We've been having a problem where we're bleeding staff out of our department right now with because we're not staying competitive with our wages. And Mr. Marian mentioned last year that the school department, a year or so before that, focused all their increases for their budget for that year to make that market correction, to try to bring staff back and to stop the bleeding of staff out of the school department. And I was insinuating that we need to do the same for this current fiscal year. So the biggest change really on this is the wages. We rolled all the wages into one line, which artificially shows, as you can see there, it shows on the right-hand side a 23% increase. That is not the pay increase that we're proposing for people. That includes moving chief's wages and the medical director's wages and stuff into the same line. Accounts for, over 10% of that number. So that is the difference, is that one wage line has the biggest increase. And again, that's our biggest expense. We have a staff of 40 members of the department, and we do over 39,000 hours worth of man-hours of work a year. So that's where that goes. We have been significantly behind our neighbors. Our neighbors have seen big increases over the last couple of years. And I'd actually like to point that out a little bit. Last year, Buxton went up 30% on their full-time staff wages. Saco went up 24% last year. Westbrook signed a contract last year increasing their wages by 27%. Wyndham went up 19% last year, Standish 18%, and Gorham this year just signed a new contract increasing their wages by 21%. Where Hollis has been seeing 3% increase. Last year, I believe, was a 3% increase in our wages. So we're not keeping up with the market value. Someone with the same qualifications in Hollis can go get hired in the city of Saco and get paid $4 more an hour to work for the city of Saco, to do the same job that we do here. And keeping in mind that the job that we do here, because we have less people on duty and less staff on duty at a time, our staff has to work harder for every call that we go to versus the staff in Saco. And yet they're paid significantly less. So this is an adjustment, a new pay scale that I've gone over with the town manager to bring us to the average in the area right now. With that 30% increase last year, Buxton is top of that list right now. This does not get us in line with Buxton, but it gets us, basically drops us between Saco and Buxton and right at the average pay rate to keep us competitive. And I can't emphasize the importance of this market adjustment enough at this point in time. I've got a staff member, one of our full-time firefighter paramedics, that has accepted an offer to the city of Westbrook at this point in time. They're supposed to start next month for their 12-week-long orientation training program. And if this budget gets approved with a new pay scale, he has agreed to rescind his acceptance of that offer to stay with this department instead of going to Westbrook and taking that pay increase that he would see there. And there's importance to that. It spreads more than just money in their pocket. There's also a level of savings to the town to keep the good staff that we have here now. The approximate cost to replace this firefighter paramedic who's been with us now for 5 years, to bring on a new person, to get them outfitted, to get them trained, and then get them into school for their paramedic license. By the time it's all done, it would take 2 years to get them trained to the same level and over $40,000, almost $50,000 to bring somebody to the same level of this person that we may lose if we don't make these market corrections this year. So that's the big change in our budget there for the wages line.
Before we move off the wages, Chris, the wages are probably the biggest issue in the budget that you're presenting to us this evening. I'd just like to ask the committee if they have any questions relative to wages while we're on this particular line item. Shelley?
You want to go first?
Oh, go ahead. Ladies first, always.
So I did calculate the actual increase because it is, it's misleading when you show a 23% increase there.
Yes.
So it's 13.9% increase, that
So-
wage line. When you add, like, because you move the chief wages and then you move the medical director wages, but you didn't move the prior year wages.
Correct.
So, so it's 13.9%. Which looks a little better. It's still high, but it looks a little better.
And I would say with the new pay scale, it's not an even number across the board. The new pay scale is based on training, certifications, different license levels. So not everyone is going to see the exact same increase. The average increase, when you add it all together, is 10.9% is the average increase. Again, some people with a higher level of training and higher learning will see a little bit more because we've got those added certifications that we're triggering for an added stipend in the new pay scale that not everybody has, but it would encourage these people, the ones who don't have it, to go and get that further education, to, one, increase their pay rate, but also to increase their knowledge and ability and service to the town. So that's an overarching change to the pay scale. But the average pay increase we're looking at is roughly 10.9%.
Just to add what
Very sorry for that.
Shelley was saying, that number that you have for the difference in that category is 248,000. In reality, it's 165,000, approximately 165,000, which makes up that 13.9. And the difference being that you now include in that line item of 248,000 the wages for yourself as well as a medical director. So
Correct.
when looking at that 248, and it's as an increase, it's really only 165,000, and that's why it ends up being 23% increase. So what Shelley was saying is that is a little misleading. And
It is.
really, if you look at it,
Right.
It's,
It just shows what number that particular line is changing by, but it doesn't represent that there's lines being combined in
yeah.
this.
So I mean, it really is less than what that number looks like.
Correct.
Don, you have a.
Yeah, I have a few questions.
Yes, sir.
First, I'd like to know, Chief, whether or not you had any input from the select board or the town manager on any kind of a formula that they wanted you to use, or a budget, you should stay within budget increase numbers, percentages, or anything like that, or is this totally on your own?
This is totally by going through market analysis with surrounding communities and getting those numbers put together, and in comparison, this was entirely a market adjustment that I proposed in conversation with the town manager, and I had no discussion with the select board on this.
So in the last 5 years, we've gone from a little under $1 million budget. When I first started on this committee 5 years ago, it was under $1 million. Now it's 1.7 million.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I appreciate everything that you do. I mean, you folks do an outstanding job. But this is all on the taxpayers' back. And my job here is to try to help save the taxpayers a few dollars. We certainly have not done this in this budget. I mean, $165,000 increase in the wage line, when most places are going 3.25 to 4%. Your wage line at 4% would be around $40,000, which would be $1,250,000.
But you've got to also remember that those other areas that you're talking about are seeing 3% or 3.25%, saw huge increases last year when the town of Hollis only saw 3%. So you can't keep up with market rates when you ignore the huge swings that other agencies are taking and look at simply this year, because those other agencies took big swings. 30% from Buxton last year, 24% from Saco, 27% in Westbrook. You all ignored that last year and went with 3%, which barely scratched the surface of those types of increases and has kept our staff far behind in their wages for doing these jobs. And we can't keep doing that. We just keep falling further and further behind.
At some point, the taxpayers are going to start saying no. When they start saying no, then we're in really big trouble. So we need to find a way to stabilize this budget. I mean, your wage line has gone from 677,000, 864,000, $1,100,000, and $1,352,000. Every single year, it's a couple $100,000 bucks.
And it's not all in wage increases for staff. Our department has changed dramatically in the last 10 years and some in the last 5 years. That change from 800,000 to 1.1 million included adding an overnight staff person. That's 13 hours times 13 hours a day. That's 365 days a year. There's a lot of hours to pay out. So it's not, these people aren't seeing it in their paychecks. There's been changes and adjustments to the way the department is operated and the staffing levels of the department. And you have to consider take that into consideration with this, that these people aren't seeing it in their paychecks.
So is this increase in the growth of the department, is it following along the lines of the growth of the community? Is that where the demand's coming from?
It is. And as I just spoke about, I checked the numbers before coming here tonight. And in the first 6 months of this current fiscal year, our call volume is up 16.7%. You know, that's a high number of calls that our staff has to keep up with. And if we are losing staff, then we're losing people to fill those positions. You know, we put out, I did a whole report, 2 or 3 weeks ago to the select board, and showed that we have an enormous number. It was 20, I can't remember the exact numbers, I want to say it's 24% of our calls overlap. We have multiple calls going on at the same time, so the need for those staff members is there. So we've had to add the staffing, and those additions to staffing has come at a cost to the people that are here already working. They weren't seeing pay increases because we were adding hours to add staff. Well, we're not adding any more staff this year. We need to fix their pay. They need to see it in their paychecks, because if they don't, they're gonna leave. And it's, you know, $48,000 to replace the paramedic that may take this job in Westbrook. And I've lost a huge number of staff members in the last 3 years. We've lost a firefighter advanced EMT to Wyndham, a firefighter paramedic to Gorham, a firefighter paramedic to Westbrook, a firefighter paramedic to Buxton, firefighter advanced to Scarborough, that was just a couple of months ago, firefighter paramedic to Saco, a firefighter EMT to Falmouth, that was one of our full-timers as well as the Wyndham person, and a firefighter paramedic to Kennebunk. All in the last 3 years. We're losing staff members because these places are paying more money to do the same job. And we keep doing that, we're going to make it so this department can't function and can't serve the taxpayers.
Well, a budget of this size and the way that it's been going up in the last 5 years, I would think that when you came to this committee that you would bring a flow chart that could show those kinds of things to us so that we could record them in our mind, that this is the issue, this is what's causing this budget to go up some, because we're having to do this, that, and the other thing. That none of that shows up here. All we're looking at is numbers, and they're very painful. And we don't know what your benefit package is. I mean, here's a budget for whatever it is, $1.7 million, and we don't even know how much the benefits cost. So truly, this is not the true budget for this department, any more than it is for the other departments that are coming here, not showing their benefit costs. Well, you got FICA, you got the family leave program, and you got health care. And we have no idea what that costs for this department.
I actually thought that those costs were going to be noted on the budget somewhere. But those costs are not incurred by every other agency that has the staffing as well. And other agencies also cover more and offer more benefits. The city of Saco, you know, they cover 75% of the family health coverage. Hollis is 0. Standish, 70% of family health coverage. Wyndham, 75%. Waterboro, 50%. Sanford, 80%. Goodwin's Mills, 60%. That was just decided this year. That's coming in the upcoming. We cover 0% of the family health insurance. 100% for the employee, but 0 for the family. So Waterboro covers 100% for the employee, 50% for the family. Goodwin's Mills, 100% for the employee, 60% for the family. The only agency that does not cover that, besides Hollis, in our surrounding communities, that doesn't cover any family insurance is Leamington, and they do also cover 100% of the employee, but cover 0%.
It would seem to me that this town maybe ought to be looking at family coverage, because you don't have to pay FICA on that, you don't have to pay family leave on that.
Sure, but these agencies still pay a higher hourly rate than Hollis does. So there's no change, there's no difference here. You're still trying to keep the money out of the pockets of the employee, even though the other agencies cover more in benefits and more in their paychecks. How long should Hollis continue to do that? How long should the employees of Hollis continue to suffer with a lower paycheck than they would make going 10 minutes down the road? How long can we expect them to stay?
And how would you expect this committee to know that? I mean, we've not seen anything that collaborates what it is you're telling us. We've seen nothing. All we've seen is numbers. It's very hard to make an intelligent and an emotional decision when you don't know all the facts.
Okay. I mean, I can provide you, I've got copies of the insurance information for these surrounding towns. I have I have copies of the percentage increases for the neighboring communities. If you would like me to hand them to you so you have the piece of paper in your hand, I'm happy to do that.
I'd love to see them. It's up to the rest of the board, the majority rules.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Just a point of reference, if I may. That's what this meeting is all about, is producing this information and having a discussion about it so that the decision can be made going forward. In discussion with the chief, he gave me this information as well, and I told him that he had to come prepared, and he did exactly as I asked him to.
I guess part of what would be incredibly helpful is to, also, it's always interesting to see the percent increases, but, don't really understand the baseline of what we're talking about for salary here versus salary in these other towns. So, we all recognize that,
Well, I mean,
these are scary increases, but how exactly do we fare on an average basis? Looks like Chris might have it in his hand.
I think you got it. Be careful what you ask for, Jim.
That's all right. So, excellent, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
So what I just provided you was the pay rates that I have listed here for the area averages, the area departments, and the average starting pay for these various positions, and Hollis's current starting pay for those positions. The difference in dollar amount and percentage. You see that for our firefighter basic EMTs, we are below the average area pay rate by 8.96%. For firefighter advanced, we're lower by 13.2%. And for firefighter paramedics, we're lower by 12.48%.
Can I ask a question?
So where do these increases bring it?
These increases, I said, it's an average of 10.9%.
Across
that.
the board?
It's an average of 10.9%. It's not exactly, it's, with the new pay scale, there's a lot of individualization in the pay scale because of individual qualifications per staff member. It's a whole new pay scale. So, for example, we may have a firefighter paramedic. We didn't have stipends built into the pay scale for fire instructor 1 and 2, fire officer 1 and 2, those added qualifications and certifications, and our new pay scale adds for that. So it's a total revamp of the pay scale. But the average increase on this is 10.9%.
So you'll take the pot of money and you'll disperse it amongst your employees. You'll decide who gets what.
Based on a predetermined pay scale and their qualifications, each individual qualifications.
And who oversees that besides you? Anyone?
It's a pay scale that I work out and go over and get approved by the town manager.
And does the town manager see all the qualified people on the list?
Certainly. I have a full list of every staff name and their qualifications and their pay rates would all be listed. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Shelley, did you have a question too?
That was going to be my question, is where this increase would put these pay rates, but you answered it, so thank you.
Okay.
Any further questions? Jim, do you have something?
Yeah.
I'm not feeling very good about it, so, I mean, I'd like to see us table this and ask him to come back and show us a flow chart with some numbers of the employees and.
I don't think that, honestly, I don't think this is the right venue to show individual pay rates, to broadcast
No, I'm not
individual pay
asking
rates.
you to do that. I'm asking you to show numbers of employees, not names.
Okay.
Positions that you have, positions that you've lost, positions that you need to fill. Give us some information so that we can feel comfortable about what we're doing, because I don't feel comfortable right now.
Okay, if I'm gonna take the time to come back and do all that, I need to know exactly what you're looking for so I can bring it with me so that we can move forward with this process with all due respect. I mean, my budget's been pushed back now for 3 weeks. I'd like to get this completed and move on. So if that's gonna be the case, I need to know exactly what you're looking for, so that I can bring the information that you want, so that you can have what you need to make a decision at the next meeting, if that's going to be the case. I would prefer to my preference would be that the committee review the information that I have here, and hopefully we can make a decision now, but if that's a necessary thing, I just need to know exactly what you're looking for, so we don't have to keep tabling it and putting it off. That's all.
Well, what I stated was positions lost, positions not filled. That would be a big start. If we knew exactly how many people you need to employ, how many you are employing, and what the shortage is.
So we're currently at our full staffing level with our full-time staff because we've replaced the people that we've lost, not with the same qualifications and caliber of people. Some of them are still in training to increase their license level to try to get us back to the level we were at when we lost particular staff members. But each full-time position is filled, and the remaining positions are part-time staff, per diem and call company staff members.
So a few moments ago, you were telling about the bleeding that you had. They were going here, there, and the other, but you already filled those positions. There can't be a terrible shortage of people that you can hire then if you've already filled them.
We filled our full-time positions. We still have vacancies in our per diem staffing. For example, there's 121 and a half hours of per diem hours that will go unfilled this month. And, we've, again, partially because we've lost some of those part-time staff members to other agencies because they pay more. But we were able, our last full-time staff member that left, we were able to replace them. Our last full-time staff member that left us was a firefighter advanced. We've replaced them with a firefighter basic EMT. We've had to send him to school. Actually, when he started, he was a firefighter. He was not an EMS trained person. We had to send him to school to become a basic EMT, and he's subsequently now in school to be an advanced EMT. But he's 2 years into the job here and is not quite yet at the level of the person that we lost, because we can't bring in people of the same caliber at the same training level when we're not paying as much as the other agencies that we're losing people to. So we have to basically bring somebody in and build them up to be at that level. And it's quite disheartening when we do that. We bring somebody in at that level, we get them trained, we get them to be a paramedic like the person that's accepted that job at Westbrook, right? We've helped them, we've trained them, we've gotten to that point where they're a paramedic, and if we lose them to Westbrook now, it will take us over 2 years and nearly $50,000 to replace them. $48,000 and change. I've got a number here. $48,856 was my estimate writing down for what it will cost to replace them. $50,000 is over 3% of our overall budget for this current fiscal year. So it costs us 3% of our budget to replace somebody. It's taken them 2 years to get to that level. And once they're there, they could easily walk to another place because they're paying them more money still. I'd rather keep the staff that we have and help get them even more certifications and more specialty training to offer more to the taxpayers of Hollis.
So it's all, when it comes right down to it, it's all about the money.
They chase the money. That's how it's been for years
So
now.
they can hold us up. They can come to you and say, I can get $3 more now here. If you want me to stay here, give me $3 more. They're just like little robbers. That really annoys me terribly.
I
Why
don't,
don't we have a contract, a yearly contract or something? Can we not do that?
if the town would really like this group of people to unionize and to go with a collective bargaining agreement, I suppose that's a possibility. But there's nothing keeping them here if that collective bargaining agreement doesn't work out for them either, which is part of the problem that Buxton was having. You know, Buxton lost 6 people in 3 years to the city of Saco, all to the city of Saco, which is why they made that big swing at 30% increase. And part of that stems from their group unionized, and they did not, their group did not negotiate proper pay increases over their 3-year term of their contract, which made them fall way behind when all the part-time staff in that department were seeing increases based on COLA and everything else. Their contracted people from the union, their select board chose not to make the changes to increase the union staff pay rates because they were under contract, and they lost 6 people in 3 years. And they made these big swings of 30% increase so that they could keep what they had and try to bring back some of the staff that they lost. And that's what it took to do it. And I really don't think this town really wants to start getting involved in unions and collective bargaining agreements. There's a lot of various things that can be brought up and included in those collective bargaining agreements that I think this town's not going to want to see. You know, a lot of these other agencies and things that come up in our full-time staff meetings is a deeper sick pool, vacation pool, PTO of time off. You got other agencies that allow them to build up. You know, the city of Westbrook will let them build up like 1,400 days of PTO. It's an insane amount of time off that they can have. I'm sorry, 1,400 hours, not days, of PTO. Right, that was a little nuts. So I'm sorry, 1,400 hours of PTO that they can build up over time. They don't get 1,400 hours when they start, but if they don't use it, it builds up, and they'll pay them out a percentage of it at the end of their time when they leave under good terms. That's one thing that my staff talks about and complains about. I had a staff member that went out on a shoulder injury. They're out on workers' comp. If they had a bit deeper PTO pool, then we wouldn't be paying out for workers' comp. They'd be out on sick time because they get a full paycheck when they're out on sick time as well. So there's lots of various things that'll come up for negotiation in a union contract. And I just don't think this town is really ready to endure that and what that could include.
I've heard the same story every year for 5 years from you about competitive wages. And it just never seems to get satisfied.
Well, we've also every
Under new
year.
management, we're going to have some new guidance going forward that things will change. I mean, it's just a terrible burden on the taxpayer. I mean, we've got a lot of senior people in this town that can barely pay their taxes. And we've got a budget in the fire department of $1.7 million a year in the little town of Hollis. It doesn't seem logical to me.
But do you understand what that pays for?
I think so.
Would you like to share, or would you like me to just explain what? I'm curious because I know there's a lot of people that don't fully understand. I remember several years ago, back in 2017, 2018, when we went to a 24-hour staffing, that when we had public hearings about adding a supplemental budget question article on the warrant to add to our current operating budget of daytime staffing to go to 24-hour staffing, we had a public hearing, and there was no less than a dozen people stood up to the podium shocked that we weren't already at 24-hour staffing. They didn't realize we didn't already have 24-hour staffing. So I question a lot about what people in this town actually know that they're getting out of their fire department. Do they know that we have 2 stations, that we have 8 pieces of equipment that all have to be maintained, that get fueled, that the buildings get maintained and heated because we can't let our fire trucks freeze in a garage, right? We have 24-hour staffing. We have 3 people on duty 24 hours a day. Firefighter EMS providers. You have a full-time fire chief and admin at the station, both firefighter advanced EMT, firefighter basic EMT. We have We manage 39,000 hours of work a year. We answer almost 900 calls, majority of them being medical calls. We manage 3 fire trucks, 2 ambulances, and all for a rough cost of about $1.10 per resident per day. What, a third of the cost of your cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts? It's not an expensive. It's really not expensive when you break it down. What people are getting. I mean, it's cheaper than your auto insurance. And what do you get for your auto insurance? A piece of paper that the law says you have to have, and an app to submit your claims to, and an adjuster that doesn't show up to your car if you get in an accident, right? Here you dial 911 and somebody shows up. Guaranteed. 24 hours a day. These people are getting woken up in the middle of the night, midnight, 2 a.m. They're working holidays. They're missing, birthdays. They're missing Christmas.
So without all the questions and the inquiries that we've made tonight, that information would have never come forward. That would be your responsibility as the chief, to educate the public about what it is you do. I mean, it would be wise on your part, when you come before this committee, to bring as much information. You've done a really good job with this, I give you credit for that. But you haven't laid out the number of employees and that kind of thing, which is what costs money.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It is what costs money. And, our total staffing, between our full-time staff and our part-time staff, right now we're at 39. 39 people that we have to outfit with equipment, gear, radios to carry on their sides, helmets, gloves, boots. A set of gear ensemble is over $5,000 now.
Okay, I'm done,
So
Mr. Chairman.
I understand it, and I'm glad that somebody is asking these questions and gives me the opportunity to share this information, because, like I said, I don't believe the average taxpayer understands what they're truly getting for this price tag.
Perhaps you should put it in the town's newsletter. Write an article in the town's newsletter telling the people of the town, this is what your fire department, this is what you get for your $1.7 million.
I have you're talking about the report for the end of the year?
I don't know whether they have a news.
Yep. Actually, I think that's due by the end of this month, so I think that's a fantastic idea, and I'm happy to do that. I will take the time to make it more clear what it is people are getting from their fire department. I think you're right. That's a great idea.
Don. Yeah, I think.
I appreciate that. That is a good idea.
If I may, I'm not going to talk about details for other communities, because other communities' business is their business. Just as the same time, I don't speak about our details, but I will tell you that I spend an inordinate amount of time with folks from other communities. And just this weekend, we were talking about fire services, and this is not a unique situation in this community. Every community is looking for the right guy who's going to leave the other community to join them. And our neighboring communities are who I'm talking about. So this is a deeper conversation the chief brought to what I went through over the weekend, but it is real when I hear it repeated outside of our control as well as inside. But that's just an FYI.
Jim, you had a question you wanted to ask?
Yeah, just curious, Chief. So I was just going back to the $48,000 number you said about the training to get somebody up to speed over time.
Yes.
Where exactly does that appear in the budget? I see there's like a $20,000 training budget.
Right. So
Is that peer-to-peer training? Or?
So I don't have it budgeted here to replace this person for $48,000, because my hope is that I don't have to do that.
Right.
And we have a general training budget every year of $20,000. That includes that could include sending someone to basic EMT school, firefighter school, advanced EMT school, paramedic school, which is now over $12,000. So to replace this person, that is, and again, I mentioned that it takes 2 years to get there, right? So ideally, if I had to replace this person, I'd bring somebody in that's already a trained firefighter and a trained EMT basic. So there's $12,000 that would come out of this training line that would have to go, that couldn't be used to increase any training level of somebody that we currently already have on staff, which is what it's intended for. Would have to go towards paying to train this new person to try to get them to the paramedic level. Then there's PPE. You've got helmet, gloves, hood, boots, pants, well over $5,000 in cost, plus their uniforms. And then when they're in class, when we send them off to class, whenever their class day lands on their regular work schedule, we have to cover their time off and pay them to be at class. So that all adds to that cost. So that's where that total comes from.
So I was sort of leading, this is kind of a little bit of a leading question in that, this budget sort of absorbs like maybe one person leaving every 2 years. I mean, because if all of a sudden you had
Approximately.
4 departures and you had to replace them, would we have the training budget, the PPE budget, all of the?
If I had to replace 2 people, if I lost 2 of my full-time paramedics, we do not have the training budget to get somebody there. It would take 2 years to do it, and that cost, if we had to pay it upfront to the training center, that's $24,000. That eats up more than what I have in my training budget. That's 2 sets of gear out of the 5 that we budget to replace, that we need to replace because we can't keep it in service over 10 years. So we replace a certain number of sets every year. So that eats away into that. So the people that we have on staff that's set to get a new set of gear, we're required by law to provide our interior qualified firefighters with a set of gear that's fitted specifically to them, fitted in size to them. So that eats away at that when I have to do that for a new person. When I have 2 sets of gear for this full-timer that's been here for 5 years, and now I have to buy a set for this new person, and within a couple of years I have to get them a spare set, because if they're on shift and they have a fire, we have to have a way for them to be able to remove that gear, wash it, and still be in service for their 24-hour shift, the remainder of their 24-hour shift. So especially for our part-time staff, they're not required to be there to come back for the next call. So we can have some time to get their gear washed. Our on-duty staff, our on-duty full-time staff, they're required to be there for the 24-hour shift. So I have to have a second set of gear for them. So this total cost is over 2 years, getting them 2 sets of gear and the training and covering their time at training.
Okay, thank you.
Chris, I have a question for you. In 23-24, our budget for wages was approximately $755,000. We had a major increase in 24-25 of about $187,000. And that, going back to the staffing that you said that was causing that increase, a major increase in that year, you added 5,577 hours. And that's what brought you up on the payroll to such a high number compared to the year prior to that. My question is, are we fully staffed now, and do you expect to be able to maintain what we have for services with the staff that you currently have?
I do feel we can maintain the services we're currently at with the staffing that we have. If we can maintain that staffing, and with this, if we can approve this budget and this pay increase to get us competitive with the average pay rate for the area, I feel we have an opportunity to bring back some of our part-time per diem staff to help fill that. As I said, we're about 6% of our total hours, coverage hours, are 3 people, 24 hours a day. We cover it 94% for the month of February, right? So 6% of that's not covered, 121 and a half hours. And where we're at what we call our minimum staffing level, which is only 2 people on duty instead of 3. I feel that we're going to be able to have a better opportunity and close that gap and fill our schedule if we're going to be matching what people are paying, because our part-time staff that are working in Gorham, that work in Gorham, so we have some staff that work in multiple places, right? I have one staff member that works in Hollis and in Waterboro. They'll do less hours in Waterboro and more hours in Hollis if we're going to pay them more. Our staff members that work part-time in Gorham, they'll work in Hollis rather than in Gorham if we're going to pay them better.
Well, I'm hopeful that with this pay increase, you'll be able to maintain the staff that you have without
I feel
them leaving. And I'm hopeful that this will service the requirements of the town going forward, at least for a few years, so that we don't see these major increases every year. And the other thing I would encourage you to do is look at your budgets going forward and work with our town manager to suggest savings. I don't know where they are, obviously wages is a big part of your budget. But perhaps there are efficiencies that you can bring to the town manager and work together to try to get this under control. Like Don says, this is a major, and as you all know, everybody here knows, this is a major budget item for the town.
Of course.
And working on some way to find efficiencies, I think we really need to focus on that.
And if we can keep our part-time staff here, like I said, currently we have our full number of full-time staff members. Again, they're still working on increasing our license levels to make up for the people that we've lost that were at a higher license level. But our full-time spots are covered, and our per diem spots have some holes. As I said, roughly 6% of the hours aren't filled this month. And the more we're able to fill those holes with our per diem staffing keeps us from having to hire more full-time staff to fill those holes. That's the reason why we've gone from 4 full-time staff to 6 full-time staff over the years, is because we don't have enough per diem staffing to fill the holes in the schedule to get the staffing that the town needs to cover its calls. So we've had to add a 5th full-time staff member, a 6th full-time staff member. If we can keep our per diem staff here working and recruit additional per diem staff to help fill some of these holes, then it delays the need to increase our full-time staffing, which is where the cost for benefits comes into play.
I think we've talked enough about wages. Why don't you move down the rest of the budget so we can get through this evening?
Okay. Training and workshops hasn't changed. The number hasn't changed there. Dues and member fees has decreased by $2,000. That's just in seeing the cost. We do have some costs for a few things have gone up, but we've been able to eliminate some unnecessary, dues and member fees for some of our software. So that has been able to come down. Office supplies did not change. Our computer expenses, we knew we were going to be purchasing a computer last year, so that expense went up a little bit, so that's decreased some by $500. Our evaluations, which is our medical evaluations that we have to do for our staff every year through Concentra, our occupational health, there's been no change in that cost. Our medical equipment supplies is kept the same for next year. Our vehicle line, the increase to that, as identified, was moving some of the cost from mileage down to that line. The miscellaneous tools and equipment, that's for various things, saw blades, chainsaw if we need to replace one, a axe, Halligan, so forth. That number has not changed. Our air cascade system, that's just repairs and maintenance. Our maintenance every year is about $1,000 worth of maintenance, so that number hasn't changed. Our extinguisher maintenance, which is we have to have a third party come in and check all the extinguishers, and being that we have extinguishers on all of our fire trucks as well as in our buildings, that's where that cost comes in, so that hasn't changed. Communications, that line did come up. That's because we're seeing the cost of our radios have skyrocketed. This number is to replace 2 radios a year, and that's all that covers. That went from $3,000 to $8,000. The repeaters, that's the cost for our repeater system so that we can talk from here to Portland. That cost has not changed. Our community outreach cost has not changed. That's our fire prevention, our visits to the daycares and libraries and schools and so forth. Our dry hydrant cost has not changed. That's the cost to do maintenance and generally one large, potentially large repair per year. Our uniforms has not changed. Our PPE has not changed from last year. Our hose line went up from $10,000 to $14,000. That line will decrease should decrease down to a nominal amount, maybe a couple $1,000s for next fiscal year's budget. This is to replace we have one truck left of a large diameter supply hose that we've been working at replacing over the last 3 to 4 years. So this is the last round of that. And that LDH cost has gone up between tariffs and shipping costs. So that's the change there. The added $4,000. That's from a recent quote that we've received. So that cost is accurate. No change in the upgrades repairs line. That's for SCBA upgrades and repairs. Our SCBAs are getting older, so that cost I feel is pretty accurate for this coming year. Once we get our flow testing done, we'll have a better picture of what that'll look like. Our health and welfare, basically this is the cost to feed our staff, for the most part, to feed our staff during major events and incidents that we have that take us through a long-term period. If we get a call at 10 o'clock in the morning and we're there until 5 o'clock at night, we have to have the availability to feed them logistically for their time while they can't take a break for lunch and so forth. So, flow testing is the annual required flow testing. That's for our hose done by a third party every year. That's a NFPA and Bureau of Labor requirement. That number hasn't changed. The ladder cost went down to $1,000. That's for our testing that is done in testing every year. The same as our hose. Pump testing, that number remains the same. That number the same with our hose. Our pumps have to be tested every year. Extrication costs, we reduced that. We're not seeing the added cost for our extrication equipment. So we've reduced that number by $1,700. Our internet costs, because all of our reporting, our records management system is all managed on the cloud. So we have high-speed internet at the station. So that's that cost there. Based on the cost for last year at $2,100, we've increased that to a total of $22,000, so a $400 increase there. Building maintenance hasn't changed, $16,000. We've got old buildings that we have to put money in to maintain, so that hasn't changed. Grounds maintenance we reduced by $500 this year. That's the grounds mostly around the training facility and cleanup from the debris from winter snow removal. Dispatch services, that's a contracted amount that's gone up. We're in a multi-year contract with our dispatch agency, so that changes with our the increase that they have scheduled, as well as it's based per capita. So, and the rescue billing went up $500. Our billing company that manages our rescue billing charges the town 7% on everything that they bring in, and that's paid out of this line. So based on kind of what we paid last year, we increased that line to match that $20,500. So that went up $500.
Joe, what's the revenue from the billing?
Oh, I have that. Bear with me just a moment. So, let's see. For the last 6 months, or for the first 6 months of this fiscal year, our payments received $151,715.61. You do the math out, we're on schedule to do $260,000 and change this year for our medical billing.
That comes directly to the general account?
I'm sorry?
Does the money from the billing come directly to the town's general fund account?
Yes, yes it does.
What would be helpful if you would show that the next time you do a budget, if you could show the revenue that it generated?
Sure. Yeah, certainly we can add a line to put that in there. You can do that. It's never been on our breakdown before, so it doesn't get added, but we can certainly add it.
a separate worksheet that shows us the revenue side of it.
Yeah, I only have one copy of the last transaction journal. If you guys want to take a look at that,
Is that for a whole year?
This is for this first 6 months of this fiscal year right now, is what I have for a transaction journal here for me.
What would the annual rate be, do you know? The annual rate of revenue? Twice that?
Roughly twice that. Essentially what I do is I break I break this number down by the first six, by 6 months and multiply it by 12, and that gives me a rough estimate of that's the average monthly that we bring in over the last 6 months, and multiply it by 12, and that's our projected revenues. Last year we were like 245 or 250 for last year's. I don't have that with me at the moment. Yeah, I believe it was our rate 250.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other general questions? If not, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to accept the fire department budget for 1.7 million.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of accepting the fire and rescue budget as proposed, $1,719,522, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain or?
No.
We have one no.
Right, I wanted more information. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Next on the agenda is general assistance. Harry?
I'm Mary Hoffman. I'm from the Select Board, and I do general assistance. And as you can see, I've decreased the appropriation significantly. If you look at 23-24, the reason that it was so expensive, at the very bottom of the page, it says we spent $137,251. At the time, we had 6 asylum seekers and immigrants who could not work, and we had to pay them the full amount for any expenses that they had for like months. So that was significant. We also have a problem with people who have physician notes that they can't work and have applied for disability, because it takes an average of 2 to 3 years for the disability paperwork to go through, so they start getting money for disability. So we had quite a few of those people that year. As you can see, in 24-25, we only spent for applicants $44,966. So I feel comfortable in changing the appropriation from the $127,640 we had last year to $77,190. We did increase wages a little bit because we're going to be having to hire somebody or pay somebody out of one of the other budgets for general assistance. It usually takes between 4 to 5 hours a week on average. It's been very slow this year for some reason. What else? So I estimated the applicant expenses should be about $60,000 for next year. I did give you a second sheet, which sort of gives you a breakdown. We took out a lot of the stuff that was really confusing, the state reimbursement and the how much we pay and how much the state pays for the expenses for the applicants. But I gave you another sheet, and I did make a typo at the very bottom, but this just shows how much we spent on the applicants and how much we got back. So we get 70% back from the state. They're fairly accurate in giving us money back. I mean, sometimes it's like 2-3 months, and I don't know what makes them do that. We try to get our reports in by like the 10th of the month for the previous month. So, and then I just included the heat fund total, since we do have questions sometimes about how much we spend with the heat fund. The heat fund is used on people who aren't eligible for general assistance but do need some help with having an oil fill. We do limit it to once a year. So, and then we usually get some funding from Poland Spring. We usually get about $5,000 from Poland Spring. We haven't gotten any this year because I thought Jack was doing the letter, so I'll be doing a letter to them next week to get some more funds. I don't remember, Di, how much we have left, maybe about 10,000? We still have about 10,000 in our heat fund account right now, so. So any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
As you know, general assistance is one of those where, let's say I'm crazy and all of a sudden we have immigrants and asylum seekers come back, and we ran out of money, we can use more money if we need to for general assistance. It's sort of like the snow budget, so. But as you can see, last year we only spent $47,654 total dollars, and this year, right now, we're up to $8,565.20, so I feel comfortable with decreasing that budget. Don?
Yeah. So has the state changed the criteria for general assistance?
No,
Why?
not really, we just haven't been seeing the people apply.
That's wonderful. I'm glad of that.
Yeah, and what's sort of concerning is the people that don't apply are your elderly that really need to apply.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
and like I said, way back when we were spending all that money, it was basically asylum seekers and immigrants who would come into the area. We were paying 100% every month for months.
Anyone else have any questions? So just to clarify, Mary, we, under general assistance, the assistance that we provide, we get basically 100% reimbursement, is that correct?
We get what?
We get approximately 100% reimbursement.
We get 70% right now.
What's the other 30%?
The 30% is the cost to us.
Is the town?
Down
pays that
cost for
30%?
an applicant, yeah.
And the heating funds, the cost to date is $4,321. That's the town's burden?
And that's donations. We get donations. We apply for money from Poland Spring, and people give us donations for the heat fund, so that's totally not at cost to town.
We usually cover that with donations.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. I have no other questions. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the general assistance budget.
Do we have a second?
A second.
We have any further discussion? No further discussion. Let's vote on the motion. All in favor of accepting the
Aye.
general assistance? Oh,
Aye.
Jim, do you have a question?
Nope.
Oh, okay. All those in favor of accepting the general assistance budget, please say aye.
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 Unanimous? Thank you, Mary.
Could we switch treasurer and the library?
Sure. Oh, you want to do treasurer next?
I do, and as long as you promise not to pick on me, because I apparently didn't backpedal the decimal in one of the columns, so we got 4 digits out there, but it shouldn't change the numbers, actually. After you've done this for a day, your eyeballs are spinning like a slot machine.
So we just insert the commas and we're fine?
There you go.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Diane Meserve, treasurer. Proposed budget for 26-27 is $81,390, composing of $1,500 in postage, $500 in mileage, $75,640 in wages. That includes mine and the deputy. $150 for training and workshops, $50 for dues, $1,200 for outside services, $750 for office supplies, $350 for printing, and $1,250 for deeds.
Any questions for Diane? Just for clarification, Diane, I don't know what that means. I know you have an expense every year, but what is that column?
So if someone doesn't pay their taxes, the tax collector puts a lien on their property.
Okay.
Once the property has been liened, then it becomes the treasurer's responsibility. If the taxpayer comes in and pays off the lien, then I have to release the lien. So, yeah, it says deeds, but it really probably should be liens,
Recording fees.
right? Registry fees.
Yep.
Sure, okay, thank you.
Yep.
And this, I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, but I thought that we were going to be having our auditors start doing the bank reconciliations. So I was wondering if that was included in this budget?
Not that I'm aware.
Pardon?
No.
So I didn't know if we needed to get that before we approved the budget, or, I don't know where that is. Sorry.
Nor do I.
Not following that conversation. So what are we saying, Dick?
I need to have a conversation with another member of the board.
Do we have the information we need on this treasurer's report? Are we talking about adding something to it?
I've got to have that conversation.
So then we cannot,
Well, you can approve this, and we can account for it in administration. Or you can wait and plug it into the treasurer's.
if the committee feels okay with that, then we can move forward. Okay. All right, do we have a motion?
Right comment? Thank you for 3.25% of the wage line. That's
Welcome.
very reasonable, thank you.
That's what I was told.
Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All in favor of accepting the treasury report as presented? Say aye.
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 Thank you, Diane. Okay, that leaves us with the last budget for this evening, and I believe it's the last budget, yeah. That is for the Salmon Falls Library. Dick, I guess you're the only one
Yeah,
here that can present for
I'll
that.
give you a rundown the best I can. I'll tell you what, the only change that's really of any significance is a cleaning item that I put in this budget, actually, after talking to the librarian. With all the work and the effort that's going into rebuilding and putting that building in a ship shape, I think it deserves at least a look-see at a monthly professional cleaning. The librarian certainly vacuums the floor and the entryway and keeps things as tidy as can be, but I hate to see the inside of any of these buildings take their wear and tear and not have somebody who knows how to look at windows, look at windowsills, look at shelves, look at the tops of things that I don't think is the librarian's duty at all. So that $1,920 is an estimate for something on like a monthly basis. We have not done the pricing yet for the benefit of that service until we had this discussion. Beyond that, the budget rolls out at about 4% increase, and that is, in fact, that amount. Salaries are sitting stable at 3%. As you can see, there's some fairly serious declines in member fees and printing ads and computers. The rest of them are level.
Any discussion on the library budget? Okay, do we have a motion to accept the library budget?
I move that we accept the library budget as proposed.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment, do we have anybody here that wants to make a public comment? Does not appear to be. The plan for the next meeting will be February 14th, and that will be held here at the same time, same place.
I hope not. February 14th is gone.
Oh, is that, what's the date for next week?
25th.
25th?
25th?
Yeah,
24th.
that won't, unless we go time machine,
24th,
time machine
24th,
back.
sorry.
24th?
Yeah, sorry.
Ah, okay,
ahead
just
of
had,
myself.
just missed it by 10 days. Okay. The next meeting will be the 24th, the Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Okay, a motion for adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye.